devastation of fatherlessness is enormous.
No kidding, the impact is everywhere. There are so many social ills that can be traced back to fatherlessness.
Absolutely. Violence, crime, teenage pregnancy, and drug abuse are what as a result of fatherlessness.
And it's not only the social ills, even the problems we see in leadership today can be traced back to the fatherlessness, and we desperately need better leadership today.
For sure. You know, parents and children grow up with a false self-concept as a result of neglect by parents.
What hurt my heart the most is the scars that is left on these children because of bad parenting.
Yes, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, even physical scars, all of these take a toll on our children.
Yes, and all of this will be unpacked to a certain extent in the following videos. And as we watch them, we need to ask ourselves if we have the moral will to do something about it.
Largely, as a result of breakdown of nuclear families, there have been a marked increase in issues of fatherlessness in almost every society around the world. Even those societies that were considered as having strong family and community relations, the impact of growing up with an absent or dysfunctional father is not only huge on faith development and the perception of God, but also on critical elements of society. It is now actually considered the root of all social pathologies.
According to the National Center for Fathering, children from fatherless homes are more likely to be poor, become involved in drug and alcohol abuse, drop out of school, and suffer from health and emotional problems. Boys are more likely to become involved in crime, and girls are more likely to become pregnant as teens. Here are 6 major consequences of fatherlessness and their huge social pathological impact.
Some of the subtle consequences are obviously poverty. Children in father-absent homes are almost 4 times more likely to be poor. In 2011, 12% of children in married couple families were living in poverty compared to 44% of children in mother-only families. Children living in female-headed families with no spouse present had a poverty rate of 47.6%, over 4 times the rate in married couple families. It also affects how people take in drugs and alcohol, especially for adolescents. There is significantly more drug use among children who do not live with their mother and father. Fatherless children are at a dramatically greater risk of drug and alcohol abuse, according to statistics.
Drug use is a big problem in many countries. The Philippines, for example, had the highest rate of methamphetamine use in East Asia in 2012, according to the United Nations. Thus, the government has launched a war on illegal drugs, which, according to the Human Rights Commission, has resulted in an estimated 27,000 drug-related killings. The third consequence is physical and emotional health. A study of 1,977 children ages 3 and older living with a residential father or father figure found that children living with married biological parents had significantly fewer external and internal behavioral problems than children living with at least one non-biological parent. In an issue of the Lancet Medical Journal, they found that the risk of suicide was more than twice as high among children in one-parent households compared with those living with both parents. And the American Psychological Association said that men who say they had a good relationship with their father while growing up react less to day-to-day stress as adults.
The issue of fatherlessness also affects achievement in education. Research has shown that 71% of high school dropouts are fatherless. That's like 7 out of 10 of the dropouts are usually fatherless. They express more trouble academically, scoring poorly in reading, mathematics, and thinking skills. Children from father-absent homes express truancy and exclusion from school. They are more likely to drop out of school at or at the age of 16 years and unlikely to attain academic and professional qualifications in adulthood. children living with their with their married biological father tested a significantly higher level than those living with a non-biological father. Father involvement, it has been discovered, in schools is associated with the higher likelihood of a student getting mostly straight A's.
Children in grades 7 to 12 who have lived with at least one biological parent reported lower grade point averages than those who have always lived with both biological parents. The fifth consequence is crime. Compared to peers in intact families, adolescents in single-parent families and step-families were more likely to engage in delinquency. A study using data from the National Longitudinal Study of Adolescent Health explored the relationship between family structure and risk of violent acts in neighborhoods. The results revealed that if the number of fathers is low in a neighborhood, then there is an increase in acts of teen violence. And finally, the sixth consequence of fatherlessness is sexual activity and teen pregnancy. A study using a sample of 1,409 rural adolescents ages 11 to 18 years investigated the correlation between father absence and self-reported sexual activity. The results revealed that adolescents in father-absent homes were more likely to report being sexually active compared to adolescents living with their fathers.
In Kenya, many cases of teen pregnancy and early marriages are often reported from families with absent or dysfunctional fathers. Often, the women will marry with less than a high school degree to men with low level of education too. In the words of Stephen Baskerville again, virtually every major pathology has been linked to fatherlessness. Violent crime, drug and alcohol abuse, teenage pregnancy, suicide, they all correlate more strongly to fatherlessness than any other single factor.
These are just a few of the many studies and statistics that are common around the world. And these are the reasons why a lot of experts, such as Stephen Baskerville, described as a leading authority on divorce, child custody, and the family court system, concludes that virtually every major pathology has been linked to fatherlessness. Violent crime, drug and alcohol abuse, teen pregnancy, suicide, all correlate more strongly to fatherlessness than any other single factor.